Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're spending a little bit of time in the garden where I grew up. This is my parents' garden. We moved here when I was 6 years old and it was mostly weeds, and it has just seen so many beautiful transformations throughout the years. We have done a couple of tour videos of this space. We'll link those videos down below if you haven't had a chance to watch them. But we're going to be doing a little bit of work down here in this flower bed. It's kind of an interesting spot, and it just recently went through a little bit of light change just because right in front of me there was actually a huge tree that they had to have removed. It was diseased, so that's going to open up this area to a lot more sun than it was previously used to. However, there are a lot of sun-loving plants already in this space. I mean, you can see these are Morden blush roses, there's daylilies, there's some goldenrod in here. Oh, and this is the hole where I planted the purple fountain grass last year. It's a little soft. But then over here, you can see we planted some wee hostas in this space. And so this is the only plant here that we're going to have to watch to make sure that it's okay with the new light that it's going to be receiving. So I was talking with my mom about what she was kind of thinking for this space, and she really wanted to carry on the little quickfire hydrangeas because Erin and I came out last year and planted this one right here, and she thought it would be so pretty to kind of carry that on right back here. So like 1, 2, 3 hydrangeas, and then just fill in the space in front. So I've brought out a bunch of things. We talked about all kinds of different options. She was maybe thinking some heucheras for some nice color and some other perennials. So I brought out some stuff, and I thought we would kind of lay out these flower beds and then show you kind of what our thought process was behind what perennials and shrubs we chose. And then we're gonna get them all planted. So let's start out with placement, and then I'll show you what we got. It's going to be a really pretty space. I mean, we've got kind of this grouping right here, and then that grouping. Look at those daisies. Look at how they just pop in that space, and they bloom for so much of the summer. It's just going to be, I'm excited to watch this whole area fill in. It's going to be interesting though, because you see this big shrub right here. This is an old lilac that was here when we moved in, and there's very few things in this garden that were actually here. I mean, just a handful, like a couple big lilacs, a locust tree, and a maple. There wasn't very much when we moved in here. So to still have this here, like still blooming and looking good, is really fun. But it's gonna provide a little bit more protection on this end. You can see like it's going to probably provide a little more shade. So it'll be interesting to see how these hydrangeas do. I kind of imagine that this one will be kind of the biggest of the three, and it might even just step down in size, but I could be totally wrong. It's going to be a learning curve. I mean, things happen in our gardens, like the tree needing to come out, or something dies that you're not expecting, and then you have to move stuff around and readjust, relearn about that area in your garden. That's kind of what we're doing here. So first off, the 3 little quick fires, which is so fun because the little quick fires stay on the small side, so 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. They'll fill in and be kind of a nice tight hedge right here, as opposed to the traditional quick fires that grow so big. They're also incredibly winter hardy, zone 3 through 8, and paniculated type hydrangeas can take the most amount of sun. And here in our dry, hot, high desert climate here in Eastern Oregon, we have to, like, paniculators and arborescens do the best for us so long as they get sufficient water. So there is a drip system running in this flower bed, and we'll probably even let the plants have whatever drip system, water comes out, but we'll run individual emitters to the root balls of just these particular plants just to make sure that they get enough moisture. But the nice part about them is if we do have kind of a one-off, a really cold winter, they bloom on new wood, which means that they will produce their buds for their blooms on new wood, on current year's growth. So unlike the other type of hydrangeas, macrophyllus and serratas bloom on old wood, so they produce their buds for their blooms on the previous year's wood. So if you have a really hard winter that damages those buds, or if you have deer come through and eat, then you could possibly lose blooms. Paniculators are just really good performers for us. And did I mention that these bloom about a month earlier than other hydrangeas. So you get to enjoy their blooms for so much longer. And once they start blooming, they'll bloom white. They'll start to turn pinkish red as they approach fall, and there's no maintenance involved. You don't have to deadhead them. They just start blooming, and then they just hold those blooms all season long. It's just amazing. Stepping down to our next plant here, we've got a perennial. This is a cherry truffles heuchera. These, in terms of height, are about full grown, even when we get them in the ground. They grow about 8 to 10 inches leaf canopy, and then they'll shoot up some bloom stalks. So they will appear taller when they have their bloom stalks. You can see a couple of them here. Typically that's early summer. That one's not attached, so you can kind of see. That's kind of what they look like when they're in bloom. They kind of pop a bloom stalk up like that. I love these because they're like a creamy pink, the lightest pink, with beautiful colored stems. I love to use them in flower arrangements. They'll spread out about 30 inches though. So I mean, they're a presence in the garden for sure. So I feel like we only needed 3 in this space, and my mom was really kind of wanting to put some heucheras down here, and I think they'll be really beautiful with these hostas. So anyway, a zone 4 through 9. So again, a very tough perennial that in more mild climates, so like closer to your 7, 8, 9 zones, they will look really good through the winter time. Colder zones, they tend to get a little tattered and they need to be cleaned up in the spring, but really nice color. So let's move to the other side. So in this space right here, of course, we have the other little quick fire. So this area will kind of look tied together. And the Morden blush roses here, they bloom kind of a soft pinky color. And they bloom for like usually a couple of times during the summer for an extensive amount of time. So I think it'll be a really pretty blend down here. There's a northern sea oats grass right there and some lamium. But let's talk about this perennial right here. This is one of my favorite perennials ever. I have a big drift of these by our kitchen entrance. They're called Midnight Masquerade Penstemon. Penstemon do phenomenally well in our area. They just always have. They are super tough, like zone 3 through 8 on this one. And they grow about 36 to 40 inches tall. I mean, so this one will be a beautiful, tall, kind of vase-like appearance, and they have this nice dark color on their leaves, but almost kind of bicolor. So you can see the purple here, and then there's always a little splash of green in all the leaves, and the stems are really darkly colored. So lavender blooms with that bright white throat, and soon all of these stalks will be full of those blooms. And I leave the bloom stalks on though, because even after they're done blooming, they form these really wonderful, shiny, burgundy colored seed pods that look amazing in flower arrangements. And they all are pretty in the garden too. They don't look messy at all. And I really like that. They stay kind of like, they'll spread out maybe 32 inches or so. So, I mean, again, you'll have a very nice big perennial here, but they're a tidy spreader. That makes sense. They don't kind of go all over the place. They stay kind of in a mounding kind of habit. And stepping down from the Penstemon, we have the Banana Cream 2 Daisy, which looks beautiful with the Penstemon. Look at the contrast there, especially once these start to bloom, and we've got some lavender color with this really soft, creamy yellow. So the Banana Cream 2 is an improved version of the Banana Cream in that it blooms more through the summer, it maintains its color better, and it has a better growth habit. And that's really one of the really fun parts about working so closely with Proven Winners throughout the years, is that we occasionally get our hands on a brand new variety when it's not out yet. These are due to come out next year. And the really cool thing about this type of daisy and the Daisy May, which I have in my own garden, is that we don't shear these back, or you don't have to shear them all the way back like we do with traditional daisies like Becky. I always remember having a big drift of those, and I would have to shear them back right after their first bloom, and then it would take them a while to rebound and bloom again. With these, if you deadhead them instead of shearing them back, they'll just keep producing flowers and looking amazing. So I love that, because then you're not like left with a big gap through a good portion of the summer, and that's always such a bummer when you've got a beautiful drift of perennials that you have to kind of like, you miss it throughout the good part of the growing season, because it's a good portion of your structure and they're usually toward the front of your bed. So anyway, these are a zone 5 through 9, and they grow about 20 to 24 inches tall. So it'll be nice to have your 36 to 40 inches and then your 20 to 24 inches, and they will spread out about 22 inches. So we've got kind of a nice lazy drift right around the front here, leaving enough space for my parents to come in and pop some annual color in, because they like to do that just like we do in our own garden. So anyway, now we just need to get them all in the ground. So we will do that, and then we'll do another little tour to show you how it all looks. I think that this area looks really great, and I cannot wait to see it grow on this season. I've always loved this flower bed from this angle in particular, like from the way you're looking at it, because of all of its beautiful layers. They're very distinct, which I think is kind of difficult to attain, and it can take a lot of years to get the right blend of plants, because you see, like right from here, like right from the gate, you see the red heuchera, and then your eye kind of draws up to the red crabapple, which is in bloom right now. It's beautiful. The Katsura maple right beyond the crabapple just glows with that kind of orange, and then the blue spruce, and then there's a Perotia tree that's kind of that chartreuse green. I mean, just imagine if you just filled up your flower bed full of green plants. While it would still be pretty, they would still be beautiful plants in and of themselves, it would not have quite the same effect as when you really work on colors and textures. It's so important to a space. And I think what we've put in here will really add to that. You know, seeing the different layers, we'll have a green layer, red, and then the wee hostas have some yellow variegation. And then moving this way, we'll have the beautiful banana cream daisies just producing color like crazy for most of the season, and the Penstemon with its dark color, which very much so complements the crabapple, I think. I'm just really loving it. And I bet you that my mom will come along in these little empty spaces, especially when the perennials are young, you know, because they're going to fill in eventually. Right now they look a little bit, that's one of the things about planting a brand new flower bed, is that things look kind of sparse, but not for long. They'll grow and fill in, but she'll come in with some annuals. I'm guessing something like sky blue or coral pink is what she'll put in here, just for a nice pop of color for the season. So anyway, that's pretty much it for today's video. Just thought you guys might enjoy seeing us work on the flower bed and kind of try to work on some different layering in terms of texture and color. So hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.